here is Baldy. Let's listen to Baldy. This is pretty good stuff. Baldy going in on the Niner offense. Yep. And you don't hear this that often. People don't take that many shots at Kyle Shanahan. But here's Baldy kind of painting the picture of how many fuck-ups there were in this game offensively.
The amount of mistakes that the 49ers made last night, it's hard to believe that this is even the 49ers. Like something so simple like right here. Debo coming in motion and Brendo runs right into him. Like the timing is just bad. Then in the run game, like they literally didn't block the middle linebacker all night.
Right,
they leave him wide open right here. Like somebody's wrong.
Yep.
Like Roseboom had one shot after another. Like why is
look at the overload.
Eric Saubert right here blocking their best pass rusher one-on-one. And Jalen Moore is just there. All right. Free to help out. And Purdy gets hit. And of course, there's a drop pass. There's a lot of drop passes. That doesn't look right. And then this hitch to Debo on the outside. Like Kittle's been in this business so long. Like, why is he engaging with Quentin Lake when the ball's in the air? Like he knows better than that. It's just one mistake after another. How about Juice just running right into Brendel right here? The timing is so bad. Like he's just running right into the center. All right. Now Grendel's doing whatever he can to just get it, get what he can. And then this should be a touchdown. Like you can't block this any better. Like this is on Brock. He's got Pearsall wide open, no safety in the middle of the field. Like why is he hanging this ball up?
Yeah.
It should have been a walk-in touchdown. There were so many mistakes made by everybody. Like forget about Debo's drop pass going into the end zone, all that. There was more than enough mistakes. You go, is this really the 49ers offense?
What has happened in your mind to the 49er offense? Is it simply they didn't have Ayuk and they didn't have CMC and there was regression? Is it the line? Is it Shanahan? Is it Purdy? Is it the lack of speed at weapons? What is the central issue in your mind with the 49er offense? I mean, right there, you just saw Baldy just eviscerated the entire group. I mean, to me, that the Garendo collision was that with Juszczyk or with Debo? With Debo is like a metaphor for this whole goddamn season.
I covered a lot of really low-level college football. That's the kind of stuff that it looked like I was watching on Thursday. I've covered a lot of low-level college football on Thursdays. Like I felt like my entire career for the last 14 years had regressed back to I'm right out of school and working for the Sun Sentinel in Fort Lauderdale, in Florida International in Western Kentucky, are down at Pitbull Stadium is what they call it now. And they're just having a mistake off, right? You're calling plays in vacuums. No one's watching. Just brutal, ugly, nasty football. And you're just looking for a glimmer of hope. This is the NFL on a nationally broadcast game. And that's what it felt like I was watching on Thursday night. And listen, all of the things that you listed out are problems, and all of them compile into this big mess that we have here today. But let's start at the top. Let's start at the man who calls the shots. Kyle Shanahan is an ideologue. He's somebody who wants to do it his way. He has these concepts in his mind. He has a perfectionist tendency. What is happening in his head has to manifest onto the field. It has to. And when you don't have a true X receiver, right? When you don't have your gadget players in both McCaffrey and in Debo, those guys who are versatile enough to force defenses to acquiesce to what you want them to do, forcing to play coverages you want them to play, and putting linebackers, safeties, other players in conflicts that you get to dictate. When you don't have those guys, even though one of them is on the field and one of them played for about 3 games, but was never really himself, save for a game in the snow, which can you even count it? When you don't have those guys, when you have a team that did not practice first team the entirety of training camp, and when all of that combining into the swelling of injuries that has just never ceased. It is Kyle not being pragmatic, and it was great in a way that they played the Rams on Thursday, that the Rams are the one who did this to him, because Sean McVay, listen, he's got ideologue tendencies too. I'm not saying that Sean McVay doesn't have big ideas that he's trying to execute left, right, and center, but that man is a pragmatist. That man makes what he can with what he has. Be a great special teams coach, right? If he ever wants to quit this head coach, offensive coordinator thing, he'd be great at special teams. Not that they have good special teams. Well, actually, that's not true. Their punter was incredible. But think about the way that the Rams have beaten the 49ers the 2 times they've played this year, right? Bad first halves for the Rams. Ugly. Getting their ass kicked in a lot of ways. Now, the Niners not putting points on the board Thursday, but they certainly were doing that in week 3. And then Sean McVay spots something that he can exploit. He spots, hey, we're going to go after Jair Brown in week 3. We're going to go after him repeatedly. His run fits are terrible. He's over aggressive if we can bring him into the box. Oh, you know who we're going to go after? We're going to go after Devondre Campbell. When we really need it, we'll press the button, and we're going to wait until the last second because we don't want them to adjust. Not that they would, because they don't adjust on this flipping team. But, like, we're going to wait until the last second, and when we really need it, we need to set up that game-winning field goal. Guess where we're going to go? We're going to go right at 59, who we know is their weak point in pass protection, as if they didn't have enough of them. And we're going to go right after them with their oh, no, Dieter, you got to remember that. Cody Parkinson. They're going to go right after him. He's going to get a pass interference. Easy setup for a field goal. Win the game. That's what they did in week 3. What did they do on Thursday? They sat and they felt it out. And listen, Stafford was horrible in the first half. But what did they do in the second half? They go, oh, Talanoa Hufanga, we're going to go right after him in the pass game. That's easy pickings. We're going to have it. Oh, Demetrius Flanagan fouls on an injury is playing because I guess they don't have enough linebackers. Not my problem. About to be theirs. We're going to go after this guy in the run game again and again and again. We're going to isolate him so that it's him versus our running back, and watch how many times we can make him miss over the final hour of this contest in real time and over the final 2 quarters in the game. The Niners had 3 possessions of true value in the second half because the Rams saw 2 weak points and just kept pressing the button, because that's good coaching. That's being a pragmatist. Meanwhile, Kyle Shanahan sees something and says repeatedly, no, we're going to do it my way. I don't care that they have set up an offense or a defense directly pinpointed to stop what it is I want to do. I'm going to do it anyway. He's like a petulant child. And you know what? The best thing that's going to happen to him is that they're going to have to cut Debo at the end of the year, and now he won't have that guy anymore, because this entire season, in a nutshell, has been Kyle Shanahan force-feeding the ball to Debo Samuel. Maybe not as overtly as it was in the first quarter on Thursday, but this entire season has been about Kyle not recognizing that Debo Samuel doesn't have it anymore, that he isn't the man that he used to be, which was once a truly transcendent and great player. Now he is somebody who actively hurts your offense. And instead of admitting that, he just has this trickle effect. Okay, we're going to still play Debo, so he needs to be the Z because we couldn't possibly move him to flanker or anything like that. So now, okay, we don't have our X receiver who's supposed to take the top off the defense and get work done in man-to-man on the outside. So now that he's injured, okay, we can take the guy that we drafted, or 2 of them who we drafted, who can actually do that job, or we could just take our best receiver because it's such an important job, the X receiver. We could just move him over. Well, he won't be as good at that anymore, so now we're going to have to move him around in order to make stuff work. But again, we couldn't possibly take Debo off the field in order to make this offense click. We just have to work around that. They're playing 10 versus 11, and that's giving way too much credit to their offensive line. So we could go on and on about it. I'm repeating myself at this point.
Well, he seemed to me, he that game plan Thursday night seemed like his priority was to have a lifelong friendship with Debo
Yes.
more than to win the game.
Yes.
It's
I just want to let you know, buddy, I still love you.
Yeah, what's the most important thing here? The most important thing is I gave you a shot. Yeah, we cooked ourselves in the process, but I gave you a shot. he seemed more interested in placating Debo
Right.
than in winning the game. And
Well,
everything was geared towards getting Debo going. And why are you kowtowing to some, formerly great receiver just because he went out over his skis on social media and started pointing the finger instead of pointing back going, it was almost like Kyle knows that the truth is that Debo can't separate and is struggling and force fed him to make it so he wouldn't have to tell him that Debo could basically, tell us that he wasn't up for it, which he did because he dropped that touchdown in the third quarter and he had a false start. He dropped a touchdown that would have made it 10-3 in the third quarter
of the game. But
it was really bad. I mean, and this is and when you go back to the Super Bowl, Debo again. I mean, it was like what happened in the Super Bowl the first time against Kansas City. The first time, Debo was the MVP at halftime. He got 2 touches in the second half.
Right.
The second time, and that's when he was ready to roll and on top of his game. Last year, when he couldn't get away from McDuffie and Snead, he had 11 targets and 3 catches in the Super Bowl. They force-fed Debo. And they lost the fucking game, I think, largely because of it. And then Thursday night, here it is again.
Oh, Larry, it's been the entire season.
But if I told you going into Thursday night, okay, who's your number 1 weapon? It's Kittle. Who's your number 2 weapon?
Garendo.
It's JJ or Garendo. Who's your number 3 weapon? JJ, the other of those guys.
Yeah.
Your top 3 weapons are Garendo, JJ, and Kittle. And yet everything about that game screamed, we're riding or dying with Debo Samuel.